It is Wednesday, September 23rd, 2015. I am Doug Neill, and this is Verbal to Visual Video. Before I got into sketchnoting, I was a high school teacher, and I still feel a strong connection to the world of education in general, but particularly what is going on inside of high schools. Today, I would like to merge those two interests and talk about how I would approach incorporating sketchnoting into the high school classroom. Let's get into it. Now, by the time students reach high school, they have already been conditioned to think one of a couple ways about drawing. Many high school students think that they can't draw, and because of that, they might not be overly willing to try. And for the students that do like to draw, then there's a pretty good chance that they've been told that doodling and schoolwork don't go well together. So these here are the two school-related falsehoods that you likely have to work with when introducing the concept of sketchnoting to high school students. The good thing is that over time we can change the way that students think about drawing in this particular way. Let's now get into ways that you might do that. If I were to return to teaching physics or math and I wanted to build in some sketchnoting skills, teaching students those skills in those classrooms in that particular context, what I would do is try to build this skill development into the overall arc of the course. I really like this idea of thinking about the amount of time you have with your students, whether it be a year or a semester or just a term, and creating this arc to your course, knowing where you're starting, where your students are coming from, and knowing where you want to go, and then developing this flow to the presentation of ideas and the things that go on inside the classroom to get your students where you want them to go. And I have Sarah Kingery, fellow teacher friend of mine, to thank for that. So thank you, Sarah. And in the case of high school teaching, you have a particular subject that you are teaching in any course. So you might have an arc to the way that you teach that subject, building up student skills over time to get to whatever level you want by the end of that time you have with those students. And what I suggest you do is find ways to build in the development of sketchnoting skills into this arc. And here is how I would do that. I would spend the first half of that course planting the seeds. And what I mean by that specifically is that I wouldn't yet introduce sketchnoting skills or start teaching any type of drawing. I would instead find some whiteboard animation videos with content related to whatever it is that course is about. I would look for other ways too of bringing in examples of visual thinking related to the content of the course. I actually did some of that during my student teaching experience, teaching high school physics. Found some interesting TED Talks that had been turned into whiteboard animation, sometimes related to science, sometimes related to education, or just other interesting topics that I thought high school students would be interested in. And a funny thing happened after one of those videos. One of my students said, "Hey, Mr. Neill, that looks like something that you would do." That young woman had a lot of foresight. The goal of this first stage of the arc is simply to build interest, to show enough examples of visual thinking and visual note-taking, and visual processing of ideas, so that they're more likely to respond well and see the potential use of those ways of working with ideas once we get into the second stage of this arc. The second half of the arc of the course would be about helping those seeds grow. I would likely start with the use of mind maps, then maybe build in some basic drawing skills to combine with the mind maps, then talk about the use of color, and throughout probably weave in different ways of using text. And to make it stick and make it relevant, I think that any time that I introduced one of these skills, I would then weave it into a classroom assignment related to the content of that class. I think that there would be plenty of opportunities to weave those two together. So that second stage is about developing the skills and applying them within the context of that specific classroom. What's great about the visual thinking skills that your students develop in your class is that they will be able to take those skills with them onto whatever class or work or profession they move on to next. So there's a huge opportunity for the transfer of skills from one area to another. So this is how I would build sketchnoting into a high school classroom. I would love to hear how you would do it differently. And I would also love to hear if you put this to the test. If you do build sketchnoting into your classroom, I would love to hear how it goes. So please don't be afraid to reach out. Let me know what you think of these ideas and let me know how it's going in the classroom. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.